Hello and welcome to Auberge du Pommier Kitchen. My name is Marc St. Jacques. I'm the executive chef, and we're here to prepare one of the dishes that we're featuring on our Summerlicious menu. We've chosen the Gazpacho because it's a great summery dish and fresh and bright, and I think a lot of people are confused or not unsure on how to make it, and it's actually really straightforward. So we've chosen a melon and cucumber Gazpacho. All we really need for that is a couple of great products and then a little bit of time, because we do need it to marinate overnight. And now we're going to go through the products. Okay, so obviously the two big stars of this dish are honeydew melon and some cucumber. We've peeled both of those, we've taken out the seeds, and we've chopped them up. Just a rough chop, no fancy knife skills. And then basically everything from there are seasoning ingredients. We have some thinly sliced shallot. You could also use red onion, some mint and basil leaves, lime juice, champagne vinegar, and then sea salt, some black pepper, and a nice oil. The other key component to a gazpacho is a little bit of day-old bread. The bread really helps to give it a smooth and velvety consistency and helps bind it all together. And then we're going to talk a little bit about garnishes. There's obviously tons of different things we can do here. We're going to show you a couple of good ideas, and then from there, this is the opportunity for you to be the chef, for you to come in and make this your own dish. What we've chosen are some shrimp. We actually are using some lightly poached BC spot prawns. We do have a little bit of melon and some herbs that are actually from our garden. We have our own little rooftop garden. We grow our own herbs, actually some pea tendrils, a few fennel leaves, and some sage blossoms. And then lastly, chilies. You can use anything you'd like, a little Fresno, a little jalapeno, if you're daring enough, some habanero, but at the end of the day, you just want a little bit of heat and nice freshness. It's really going to make the dish pop. And now we're going to put our gazpacho together. So really the key here is the layering of the ingredients. You want your firmest or your hardest or your toughest ingredients on the bottom to marinate longer, and the softest things on top. So in our case, the softer items would be the cucumber and the melon, and the firmer items that need to marinate a little bit longer will be the bread and the onion. In the case of a tomato gazpacho, if you're doing red peppers and tomatoes, you put the red peppers, the bread, the onions on the bottom, and then you'd marinate the tomatoes and pour it over top. So let's start putting this together. Like I said, first things, onion, some bread, and now we're going to take the cucumber and the melon, we're going to put it in a bowl, and we're going to season it just like you would be doing with a salad, but you want to season it a little more aggressively than you would a regular salad. So starting first, we have a little champagne vinegar. For this amount, probably the squeeze of one lime, just a half. And then we're going to season it with a little sea salt, a couple grinds of pepper, and then lots of olive oil. So at this point, we're kind of looking for about 1 part vinegar and acid to about, say, 3 parts of olive oil. Then we're going to mix it. And like I said, we're going to toss this and then pour it right over our shallots and our bread. And then the next key to this is taking a similar sized vessel and pushing it on top and pushing a little weight. What that does is push obviously all the product down, but it helps the liquid come up around the sides and cover more surface area. You're going to then put it in the refrigerator and let it refrigerate overnight. So now our soup base is marinated overnight. It's nice and chilled. So we take it out of the refrigerator, and you can start to see that the fruits are starting to get softer and more tender because they've marinated. The bread's absorbed some of the liquid, and it's also released some of its own juice because of the salt and the vinegar. All right, at this point, we're going to take out the basil and the mint. We've already got the flavor out of them. We don't need them anymore. So we're going to give now the gazpacho a nice stir, and we're going to blend it. Not everybody has a high-speed blender at home, that's fine. You can still just do it in a regular blender, and the consistency is not going to be quite as smooth, but it's still going to be delicious. Obviously, we don't want to try to blend too much at one time. If that's the case, it's not going to blend evenly and smoothly. We don't have that much to start with today, so we're going to be able to put it all in. And scrape out the last little bits. So now we're going to blend our soup. The bread should help it emulsify. We've got our acid, and we're going to start slowly and then turn it on high. We really don't want our soup to heat too much, so we don't want to blend it for too long. And towards the end, to help it really get shiny and beautiful, we're going to add a little bit of more olive oil. So at this point our soup looks nice and smooth and creamy. As you can see, it's blended and frothy and nice and shiny. Shiny means we've got enough fat into it and it's well emulsified. At this point we're going to pour it through a strainer and put it back in the fridge and let it get real nice and cold. Now that we've got our soup nice and blended, we're going to plate it. As I mentioned in the introduction, this isn't something that's fixed or set. This is where you get to play, where you get to be the star. So we're going to dress our ingredients first, like I said earlier, like a salad, so it's nice and bright and fresh, and then we're going to plate it. A nice little trick to do in this kind of situation is put a few bowls in the refrigerator so they're nice ice cold, and that way they'll also help to keep your soup cold. So we're going to dress these with the shrimp and the chilies. Obviously the amount of chilies will depend on how spicy you like it. Then we're going to take a little bit of olive oil, some salt, and just a little squeeze of juice from a lime. Okay? Now we're going to toss our ingredients around and go to the plate. We want all these things to be nice, bright, and shiny. So, when plating, we really want to focus on putting different textures on the plate. You don't want everything to be one-dimensional, and you don't want too set of a pattern. Sometimes things are more beautiful when they're a little bit more random. You can use the melon to sort of help prop up your shrimp and put them in a different pattern. And as for the chilies, you don't want to put too many because then it will become overpowering. And you want to sort of scatter them so that it's every random bite that you get a little bit of heat. So now we're out in the dining room at Auberge, and I'm here with Ben Shilo, our new sommelier. Ben, we've got this. We've got our melon and cucumber gazpacho with a little bit of lightly poached shrimp, some fresh herbs, and some chilies. So the question is, what'd you choose?
Well, I chose a fantastic Albarino from the beautiful coastal region of Rías Baixas in Spain. Fantastic producer, Bodegas Gómez y Real, offering up a wonderfully acidic white wine that is going to put this dish together and really balance all the ingredients presented before you.
So when you say balance and pairing, what are we looking for? Obviously, we've got melon, we've got shrimp, we've got all these things, but what are the characteristics you're really looking to pair?
I'm looking at the temperature. A cold soup like this is going to be really dense. It's going to offer a lot of acidity that it can be challenging for a lot of wines, and you need a wine that is going to have enough boldness, enough acidity, that is really going to meet force with force and going to play with these ingredients rather than shrink back.
So it's not what we typically think. Normally the first idea is go right for the flavors, but the temperature is actually the real key.
Without a doubt. If anyone remembers those cold leftovers, everyone knows that cold beef sandwich isn't really going to play the same way as that hot steak the night before. A cold soup is going to be denser, it's going to be more concentrated, the tartness is really going to be aggressive. And, the shrimp and the chilies do offer a lot of balance, which allows the perfume, the floral notes, and the minerality of the wine to really sing and to really bring it all together.
So it's a pretty great pairing. But what happens if our guests can't find this wine? Do you have any other suggestions or things they could drink instead?
Of course, if they can't find this particular wine, there's an ever-increasing selection of Spanish wines in the LCBO. If they can't find that, I would say go for many of the wonderful value Vino Verdes, which really work hard to showcase Alvarinho as a grape varietal. You can look at Loire Valley Sauvignon Blancs, something local from Ontario, as well as many selections from the rest of the larger wine world.
Great. So there is actually quite a bit of options. Well, thanks, Ben. It was a pleasure doing this with you as our first food and wine pairing, and thanks for the time.
It's a pleasure.
And thank you for joining us, and come and see us soon at Auberge for a food and wine pairing, much like the Gazpacho. Cheers.